Let's be honest. Most people hate talking about power. The second you mention power, people start thinking about dictators, corrupt politicians, greedy CEOs, or some evil mastermind sitting in a dark room manipulating everyone. And because of that, a lot of people tell themselves, I'm a good person. I just work hard. I stay out of drama. I don't play games. Sounds noble, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Just because you refuse to play power games doesn't mean power games disappear. It usually means you become the person getting played. That's exactly why the 48 Laws of Power became one of the most controversial books in the world. Written by Robert Greene, the book breaks down patterns of power that have shown up again and again throughout history. He studied kings, queens, generals, political leaders, con artists, business leaders, and some of the most ruthless people who ever lived. People like Napoleon Bonaparte, Niccolò Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, Queen Elizabeth I. And he noticed something interesting. Human nature doesn't really change. Technology changes, clothes change, society changes, but ego? Still the same. Jealousy? Still the same. Manipulation? Still the same. Status games? Still everywhere. And that's why this book still feels relevant today, because the battlefield just moved. It's no longer only happening in royal palaces. Now it happens at work, in friendships, in dating, in family relationships, on social media. And most people don't even realize it. Think about your workplace. Have you ever seen the hardest worker get ignored for promotion? Meanwhile, someone less talented gets promoted because they know how to network? That's power. Have you ever shared a great idea and someone else took credit for it? That's power. Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and instantly command attention? That's power. Have you ever been in a relationship where one person clearly controls everything? That's power too. Power isn't always loud. Sometimes power is silent. Sometimes power looks like confidence. Sometimes power looks like influence. Sometimes power looks like emotional control. And sometimes power looks like knowing exactly when to stay quiet. That's what makes this book fascinating and dangerous. Because once you understand these laws, you start seeing them everywhere. At your job, your friend group, your favorite celebrities, even online influencers. Look at social media. Some influencers are incredibly strategic. They know how to create mystery. They know how to stay visible. They know how to make people talk about them. Even controversy can become power. Look at people like Kim Kardashian. Love her or hate her, she understands attention, and attention is power. Look at Elon Musk. Every tweet becomes news. That's influence. That's power. And before someone says, well, I don't want power, that's fine. Most people say that because they associate power with becoming evil. But power itself is neutral. Money is neutral. A microphone is neutral. Influence is neutral. It depends on who uses it. A good person with influence can help people. A bad person with influence can destroy people. The real danger isn't understanding power. The real danger is being completely blind to it. Because if you don't understand how influence works, you'll keep wondering why less qualified people keep winning. You'll keep trusting manipulative people. You'll keep getting used. You'll keep being shocked by how the world works. And here's another hard truth. A lot of people secretly want power. They just don't admit it. They want respect. They want influence. They want financial freedom. They want people to listen when they speak. That's all connected to power. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem starts when people pretend they're above it while secretly chasing it. That hypocrisy creates a lot of fake people. At least the 48 Laws of Power is honest. It says, this is how the world actually works. You can reject the rules, you can disagree with them, but ignoring them completely, that can be very expensive. Now, to be clear, this video is not about becoming manipulative. This is not about turning into some cold villain. This is not about using people. It's about awareness. Think of it like learning self-defense. You learn how manipulation works so you can protect yourself. You learn how influence works so you stop being naive. You learn how power works so you stop accidentally sabotaging yourself. Because a lot of good people lose opportunities not because they're untalented, but because they're unaware. They overshare, they trust too quickly, they speak emotionally, they underestimate strategic people, and they assume everyone plays fair. That assumption destroys careers, destroys relationships, destroys businesses. And throughout this series, we're going to break down the most powerful lessons from the 48 Laws of Power in plain English. What actually works, what feels toxic, what you should avoid, and what can protect you in real life. Because once you understand power, you start moving differently. And once you see the game, you can finally decide how you want to play it. Let's talk about one of the most famous laws in the 48 Laws of Power. And honestly, this one makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Law number 1. Never outshine the master. At first, this sounds terrible. What do you mean, don't outshine people? Shouldn't hard work speak for itself? Shouldn't talent be rewarded? Shouldn't the best person naturally rise to the top? In a perfect world, sure. In the real world, not always. Because people have egos, and fragile egos can be dangerous. A lot of smart people mess up their careers because they think being talented is enough. It's not. You can be the smartest person in the room and still lose if you make powerful people feel insecure. That's the lesson. And no, this doesn't mean you should act weak. It means you need emotional intelligence. Big difference. Let's say you just got hired at a company. You're young, you're ambitious, you've got fresh ideas. And within your first month, you start publicly pointing out everything your manager is doing wrong. You interrupt meetings. You constantly say things like, "That's outdated. There's a better way. I already knew that." Technically, you might be right, but now your boss feels threatened. And once someone above you feels like you're trying to embarrass them, good luck. Suddenly, you're excluded from meetings. Your ideas stop getting support. Promotions disappear. And you're confused because you think, "But I'm the most capable person here." That's exactly the trap. Being right is not enough. People want to feel respected, especially people in positions of authority. And this doesn't only happen at work. It happens in friendships too. Ever met someone who constantly tries to one-up every conversation? You say you went to Spain. They went to 10 countries. You got promoted. They made more money. You bought a house. They bought 2. Everything becomes a competition. Those people become exhausting, and eventually people avoid them. Why? Because nobody likes feeling small around someone who constantly needs to prove superiority. Now let's talk relationships. This law shows up there too. Sometimes one partner constantly corrects the other in public, makes jokes at their expense, shows off intelligence to embarrass them. That creates resentment fast. No one wants to feel humiliated by someone who claims to love them. Even social media is full of this law. People constantly flexing wealth, cars, watches, trips, designer brands, and sometimes it works temporarily. People notice, but long-term, it often creates silent jealousy, and jealousy can quietly destroy opportunities. There's a reason many successful people move strategically. They don't reveal everything. They don't constantly remind people they're winning. They let results speak quietly. Even Warren Buffett is a good example. One of the richest people on earth, yet he built a public image around simplicity. Why? Because extreme displays of superiority can make people uncomfortable. Now here's where people misunderstand this law. They think it means, hide your talent forever. Wrong. That's not the lesson. The lesson is timing and delivery. You can be exceptional without making others feel irrelevant. You can offer ideas without humiliating people. You can shine without making someone else feel like you're stealing their spotlight. That's a skill, and very few people master it. Sometimes the smartest move is making your boss feel like an idea was partly theirs. Sometimes the smartest move is praising someone before offering criticism. Sometimes the smartest move is staying patient until you're in a stronger position. That may sound unfair, but impatience destroys a lot of careers, especially young, talented people who think results alone should matter. History is full of examples. Even Louis XIV kept talented people around him, but only if they understood how to make him feel powerful. The moment someone became too threatening, they were removed. That pattern still exists today. Different clothes, same human psychology. And here's the irony. People who desperately try to prove they're superior often reveal insecurity. Truly powerful people usually don't need constant validation. They don't walk into every room trying to dominate everyone. They observe, they calculate, they know when to speak, and they know when to let someone else feel important. That's real power. Because making people feel respected often gives you far more influence than trying to impress everyone. And if you ignore this law, you may keep wondering why people secretly block your success, why opportunities disappear.
why certain people become hostile toward you. Meanwhile, the less talented but more socially aware person keeps moving up. That's frustrating, but it happens every day. So the real lesson here is simple. Be excellent, but don't be arrogant. Be capable, but understand ego. Be confident, but stay strategic. Because sometimes winning isn't about proving you're the smartest person in the room. It's about making sure the right people want you in the room at all.
One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking power comes from talking a lot. They think the loudest person wins, the funniest person wins, the most aggressive person wins, the person with the strongest opinions wins. But in reality, people who talk too much usually give away their power. And the 48 Laws of Power talks about this a lot. 2 laws really connect here. Always say less than necessary, and conceal your intentions. These 2 laws are incredibly powerful today, maybe even more powerful than when the book was written. Why? Because we live in a world where everyone overshares. People post every thought online, every relationship update, every career move, every emotional breakdown, every plan, every argument, everything. And most people don't realize how dangerous that can be. The more you reveal, the easier you are to predict. And predictable people are easier to control. Think about work. Have you ever had a coworker who talks way too much? They gossip constantly. They tell everyone their frustrations. They complain about management. They reveal every future plan. I'm interviewing somewhere else. I hate my boss. I deserve a promotion. Sounds harmless until the wrong person hears it. Now management doesn't trust them. Coworkers use their words against them, and suddenly they're stuck. Meanwhile, the quieter person, nobody knows their next move. And that uncertainty creates power, because mystery makes people pay attention. That's why some leaders speak carefully. Look at Barack Obama. Whether people agreed with him or not, he often spoke with control. He paused. He chose words carefully. He rarely looked emotionally reactive. That calm communication created authority. Now compare that to someone who constantly posts emotional rants online, angry tweets, public meltdowns, oversharing private drama. That usually damages credibility. And we've seen plenty of celebrities destroy their own reputation that way. Sometimes silence protects you better than explanation. And this applies heavily in relationships too. A lot of people sabotage dating situations because they reveal too much too early. First date? They talk for 2 hours straight. Trauma dump. Talk about marriage. Talk about exes. Talk about future plans. And the other person feels overwhelmed. Mystery disappears. Attraction often needs space, not games, just space. Even friendships can suffer from overtalking. Some people reveal every insecurity, every secret, every frustration. Then later they regret it when trust gets broken. Not everyone deserves full access to your mind. That's an important lesson. And social media made this problem worse. People announce goals before achieving them. I'm launching a business. I'm writing a book. I'm changing my life. Then 6 months later, nothing happened. Why? Because talking creates fake satisfaction. You feel productive without actually doing the work. And sometimes public attention kills discipline. Quiet progress is often stronger. There's a reason Beyoncé surprises people with projects. She disappears, works quietly, then suddenly drops an album. Massive impact. No constant talking, no daily updates, just results. That strategy creates anticipation, and anticipation creates attention.
That's power. Now, let's be clear. This law doesn't mean become socially awkward. It doesn't mean be cold. It doesn't mean manipulate everyone. It means learn restraint. Speak with purpose, not anxiety. A lot of over-talking comes from nervousness. People want approval. They fear awkward silence, so they keep filling space with unnecessary words. And usually they regret it later. You've probably had moments where you thought, why did I say that? Exactly. Power often lives in discipline. Knowing when to stop talking. Knowing when not to react. Knowing when not to reveal your plans. Knowing when silence says more than words ever could. And conceal your intentions? That doesn't mean lie. It means stop giving everyone access to your blueprint. Not everyone clapping for you wants you to win. Some people gather information for selfish reasons. Some people smile in your face and quietly compete with you. That's reality. And if that sounds cynical, good. This book is intentionally uncomfortable. The 48 Laws of Power forces you to see human behavior without fantasy. And once you understand that, you become harder to manipulate, harder to read, harder to control, and much harder to defeat. Sometimes the most powerful sentence in a conversation is, "I'll think about it." And sometimes the most powerful move in life is moving in silence until your results speak for themselves.
Your reputation walks into the room before you do. Think about that. Before people hear you speak, before they know your personality, before they understand your skills, they usually already have an opinion about you. That opinion might come from social media, friends, coworkers, your past behavior, online content, word of mouth. And whether you like it or not, that reputation can open doors for you or quietly destroy opportunities before you even know they existed. That's why one of the most important lessons in the 48 Laws of Power is protecting your reputation at all costs. Because reputation is basically social currency, and once people trust your name, life gets easier. People recommend you. People invite you into opportunities. People assume competence. People give you second chances. But once your reputation gets damaged, everything becomes harder, and rebuilding trust takes forever. Sometimes years. Sometimes it never fully recovers. Look at celebrities. One scandal can completely change public perception overnight. We've seen massive careers collapse because of one mistake, one leaked video, one offensive comment, one bad decision, and suddenly sponsors disappear, fans disappear, friends disappear. That's how fragile reputation can be. Think about Will Smith after the Academy Award slap incident. For decades, he was seen as funny, likable, family-friendly. One moment changed the public conversation instantly. Whether people forgave him or not, his reputation took a major hit. That's how quickly perception can shift. And this applies to normal people too. At work, if people see you as reliable, you gain trust. If people see you as dramatic, that label sticks. If people see you as lazy, that label spreads. If people see you as someone who can't handle pressure, that reputation follows you, even if it's unfair. That's why emotional control matters so much. A lot of people destroy their own image because they react emotionally in public. They send angry emails, they post emotional rants, they fight online, they gossip at work, and they don't realize people are watching. Even when nobody responds, people remember. And the internet makes this even worse. Bad moments can live forever. Old tweets, old videos, old interviews, screenshots, receipts, everything gets saved now. That means reputation management is more important than ever. Look at Taylor Swift. One reason she's remained incredibly powerful is because she understands narrative control. When criticism happens, she often responds strategically. She protects her brand carefully. That level of awareness matters. And on the business side, Apple built a reputation around premium products and simplicity.
People often buy based on reputation before comparing actual specs. That's power. Strong reputation reduces resistance. Now, here's something even more interesting. Sometimes people attack your reputation because they can't compete with your ability. If they can't beat your talent, they attack your character. They spread rumors, create doubt, question your intentions. This happens constantly in politics, business, and entertainment, and sometimes in friend groups too. That's why the 48 Laws of Power says to destroy enemies who attacked your reputation quickly. Now, obviously, don't become reckless, don't become vindictive, but protect your name, correct false narratives, set boundaries. Don't let lies grow unchecked, because silence can sometimes be interpreted as guilt. But there's another side to this conversation. A lot of people try too hard to look perfect. That can backfire too. People trust authenticity more than fake perfection. You don't need flawless branding. You need consistency. Say what you mean, keep your word. Be reliable, stay emotionally disciplined, treat people well. That creates long-term reputation power. And here's the truth. Your reputation is being built every single day by how you speak, how you treat people, how you handle stress, how you respond to failure, how you behave when nobody important is watching. Little moments build big reputations. And once your name means something positive, opportunities start chasing you. That's real power. Because eventually your reputation becomes your introduction. And at that point, your name starts doing the talking for you.
This is where a lot of people stop reading the 48 Laws of Power. And honestly, I get it. By this point, some of the laws can feel dark, manipulative, cold, even a little evil. You read certain chapters and think, wait, am I learning strategy? Or am I learning how to become a terrible person? That's why this part matters. Because the biggest mistake people make with this book is treating it like a step-by-step guide for manipulating everyone around them. That mindset usually backfires. Hard. Why? Because people can feel fake energy. They can sense when someone is being overly calculated. Nobody likes feeling used. Nobody wants relationships that feel transactional. And ironically, people who become obsessed with power often end up lonely. They may gain short-term influence, but they lose trust. And trust is one of the strongest forms of long-term power. Look at people who constantly manipulate friendships. They only call when they need favors. They flatter people for personal gain. They disappear when they no longer need something. Eventually, everyone notices the pattern. And once trust is gone, their influence collapses. Same thing happens in business. A company can trick customers once, maybe twice, but eventually reputation catches up. Look at what happened to WeWork. For a while, the company looked unstoppable under Adam Neumann. Massive hype, huge promises, big personality. But eventually, reality exposed the cracks, and trust disappeared fast. That's what happens when image becomes stronger than substance. Now let's bring this into personal life. A lot of people misuse power in dating. Playing mind games, delayed replies on purpose, fake jealousy tactics, manipulative silence, creating unnecessary competition. That stuff may create short-term attention, but it rarely builds healthy relationships. Eventually, people get tired. Healthy attraction needs honesty, not constant strategy. And friendships are the same. If every conversation feels like hidden competition, that friendship dies. Nobody wants to feel like they're constantly being studied or manipulated. And this is where I think the 48 Laws of Power should really be viewed as self-defense, not offense. Think about martial arts. Learning how to fight doesn't mean you should start random fights. It means you know how to protect yourself when necessary. Same idea here. This book teaches you how manipulative people operate, how insecure leaders behave, how opportunists think, how attention seekers move, how strategic people gain leverage. And once you understand these patterns, you stop becoming an easy target. You notice red flags faster. You recognize fake flattery. You recognize when someone only contacts you when they need something. You recognize when someone is trying to embarrass you publicly. Awareness saves you. And here's something many people miss. The strongest people often don't need constant manipulation. Look at Keanu Reeves. People respect him because of humility, consistency, kindness, calm confidence. That's power too. Quiet power. and it lasts longer than forced dominance. Or look at Warren Buffett. He built enormous influence without trying to appear intimidating. He built trust, and trust compounds, just like money. Now, does that mean you should be naive? Absolutely not. Some people will absolutely take advantage of kindness if boundaries don't exist. That's why kindness without boundaries becomes weakness, and aggression without ethics becomes destruction. The goal is balance. Be kind, but not naive. Be strategic, but not cruel. Be ambitious, but not obsessed. Be powerful, but remain someone you can respect in the mirror. Because if success costs your peace, your relationships, your integrity, that's not real success. That's just expensive emptiness. And a lot of powerful-looking people are secretly miserable. They win publicly and lose privately. That's not the goal. The real goal is learning enough about power so that you can protect yourself, build influence, avoid manipulation, create opportunities, and still remain a decent human being. That combination is rare, and that's real strength. Because anyone can become ruthless. Very few people know how to become powerful without losing their soul.
Here's the biggest irony of the 48 laws of power. Most people are already playing the game of power. They just don't realize they're losing. That's what makes this book so uncomfortable. It forces people to admit that life is not always fair. Hard work doesn't always win. Talent doesn't always win. Good intentions definitely don't always win. And that truth frustrates a lot of people, because most of us were raised to believe something simple. Work hard, be nice, stay honest, and everything will work out. That sounds great, and honestly, those values still matter. But real life adds another layer. You also need awareness, because there are people who understand influence better than you. People who understand perception, timing, leverage, psychology. And if you ignore that reality, you may spend years wondering why you keep getting overlooked. Maybe you're the hardest worker in your company, but someone else gets promoted because they communicate better. That's power. Maybe you're talented, but nobody knows your work because you hide forever. That's a power problem. Maybe you trust people too quickly, and they use your ideas. That's a power problem too. Maybe you react emotionally every time someone criticizes you online. That also gives people power over you. And social media made this worse. Now everyone is competing for attention, and attention has become one of the biggest forms of modern power. Look at influencers. Some are incredibly talented. Others simply understand algorithms, branding, controversy, and audience psychology, and they dominate. That's why creators like MrBeast became massive. Yes, he works hard, but he also deeply understands attention, retention, human curiosity, storytelling. That's modern power. And businesses do the same thing. Nike doesn't just sell shoes, it sells identity. Apple doesn't just sell phones, it sells status, design, simplicity. That's influence. That's strategic positioning. And on a personal level, many people destroy their own influence through emotional impulsiveness. They post when angry, quit impulsively, burn bridges, publicly insult people, overshare private problems, and then wonder why opportunities disappear. Discipline protects power. Patience protects power. Reputation protects power. Silence protects power. And understanding human nature protects power. That doesn't mean becoming paranoid. It means becoming realistic. Because some people hear lessons from the 48 laws of power and say, this book is toxic. Sometimes they're right. Some laws absolutely feel extreme, and you shouldn't blindly follow everything in it. But ignoring human behavior completely is also dangerous. That's like refusing to learn self-defense because violence makes you uncomfortable. Reality doesn't disappear because you dislike it. And one of the most powerful lessons from this entire book is this: power often flows toward people who control themselves, not people who constantly try controlling others.
Think about the strongest people you know. They probably stay calm under pressure. They don't beg for validation. They don't overshare everything. They move with confidence. They set boundaries. They know when to walk away. That's real power. And here's the final truth. The people who become obsessed with controlling everyone often lose themselves, but the people who completely ignore power often become victims. The smartest path sits in the middle. Learn the game, understand the rules, protect yourself, build influence ethically, and stay grounded. That's how you win long term. Because real power isn't forcing people to respect you. Real power is becoming so disciplined, valuable, and self-aware that people naturally do. And that's why the 48 Laws of Power remain so popular. Not because everyone wants to become ruthless, but because deep down, people want to stop being powerless.